Imagine, if you will, a world where Donald Trump once again takes the oath of office, returning as the President of the United States. What sort of changes might we see in American policies? And more importantly, what kind of impact could these changes have on the country and its citizens? Donald Trump's presidency was characterized by his unique approach to policy making, often veering away from traditional political norms. If he were to regain the presidency, we could expect a resurgence of his signature policies. Firstly, consider the realm of immigration. During his previous term, Trump implemented a hardline stance on immigration, most notably with his push for a border wall between the United States and Mexico. If he were to return to office, it's reasonable to expect a re-emphasis on this policy. The implications of this could be vast, potentially leading to increased tensions at the border and a more challenging path to citizenship for immigrants. Next, let's turn our attention to economic policy. Trump's previous term saw significant tax cuts, particularly for corporations and high-income individuals. A return to these policies might stimulate economic growth in the short term. However, critics argue that the long-term effects could increase income inequality and burden the middle class. On the international stage, Trump's America First policy could once again take center stage. This approach, characterized by a skepticism of international agreements and alliances, could lead to changes in America's relationships with other countries. While some argue this policy protects American interests, others worry it could isolate the United States and weaken its global influence. Climate change is another critical issue. Trump's previous administration saw a rollback of many environmental regulations and a withdrawal from the Paris Agreement. If he were to return to the White House, it's possible we'd see a continuation of these policies. The potential impact here is significant, with critics arguing it could hinder global efforts to combat climate change. And finally, consider the impact on healthcare. Trump's previous attempt to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, often referred to as Obamacare, was a significant part of his first term. If he were to return, this policy could once again be on the table. The implications for American healthcare could be substantial, affecting millions of citizens' access to affordable care. So, what does all this mean? In the realm of immigration, a return to a hardline stance could lead to increased tensions at the border and a more challenging path to citizenship. In terms of economic policy, a return to significant tax cuts could stimulate economic growth in the short term, but potentially increase income inequality in the long run. Internationally, a resurgence of an America First policy might protect American interests, but could also risk isolating the United States and weakening its global influence. On the issue of climate change, a rollback of environmental regulations and a possible withdrawal from international agreements could hinder global efforts to combat this pressing issue. And in healthcare, a renewed attempt to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act could affect millions of citizens' access to affordable care. In essence, a second Trump presidency could bring about significant changes in American policies. Whether these changes would be positive or negative largely depends on one's perspective. However, one thing is certain: the impact would be far-reaching, affecting not only the United States but potentially the entire world. As citizens and global observers, it's crucial to stay informed and engaged, understanding the potential implications of such changes. Because it's not just about who holds the office, it's about how their policies shape and influence the world we live in.